President-elect Donald Trump's been busy. He's already filled some high posts in his administration, but he still has some hard choices to make for his cabinet. So who will Mr. Trump be meeting with tomorrow on Monday? And is he really considering a Democrat for Secretary of State? Here to break it all down is Fox News contributor Tammy Bruce. Of course, a lot of the speculation has been, who is that Secretary of State going to be? It's been really a Romney versus Giuliani, but there may be a door open for some others. But first, let's just mention who the spots that he's already filled.
Right. Obviously, Chief of Staff Reince Priebus. That's clearly a reach out to the Republican establishment, but it's a good choice because he knows everyone. Steve Bannon is not somebody who has to be confirmed by the Senate. Chief strategist, like a Valerie Jarrett, if you will. Jeff Sessions, Attorney General, excellent choice there. National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. Obviously, everyone's been an early endorser of President-elect Trump. Mike Pompeo, obviously CIA director. People were wondering where that would fit, but that's a clear choice. Betsy DeVos was interesting to people. That was a little bit of a surprise. At first, there was concern she was for Common Core. She's made it clear she's not. So she should be in a pretty good space. And the Nikki Haley choice, though, for UN ambassador, very interesting. She withdrew her support for Mr. Trump, has no diplomatic experience. Some people are wondering how that will work, but clearly she'll have the support.
And she was very critical of Trump during the election process.
She was.
All right, so let's move on. Secretary of State, where are we there?
Well, look, I think that the Romney situation is not going to be happening already. Kellyanne Conway.
But he's still in the mix, according to our reporting at Fox.
Kellyanne Conway has already publicly criticized the nature of the possibility of that because of loyalty.
All right, so who else is in the mix?
Rudy Giuliani has clearly been at the top of the list, I think. I think the concern has been his business dealings, perhaps. He would be fabulous. That's where I think ultimately
And who's the Democrat being considered there?
Well, we're looking at Tulsi Gabbard's names has come up in a variety of ways, which is also very interesting. She's a Democrat. She's been very critical of Barack Obama, opposed to the TPP. But again, no diplomatic experience, would add diversity to the team. But obviously, Mr. Trump wants people with experience, people who can get the job done.
Rohrabacher.
Rohrabacher. I think that's more of himself, in a way, putting a flag up the flagpole to see if anybody salutes. But that name has come up. I don't know how seriously we should take it.
For one particular role or multiple roles? Is it
I think, well, perhaps for almost any role, but his name has come up for Secretary of State. I think they want to perhaps show...
All right, so we'll put him kind of over here. All right.
I mean, there's a lot of talent, clearly. The bench is deep here.
All right, let's talk Treasury Secretary John Allison.
You know, what's interesting about him is he is a libertarian. I think he would actually be a great choice. He was against the Kelo decision, which was about property rights, when the Republicans in general have been quiet about that. He's already been involved and been very vocal against Obamacare. He's a perfect example of someone not in the system who fits what Mr. Trump already believes and what the Tea Party believes as well. Ayn Rand advocate, so he would be very interesting. Stephen Mnuchin has been mentioned as at the top of the list, but he's a big Democrat Party donor. And I think that donating to Obama, to Hillary, it would be very strange to put him in that kind of position.
And he's got the deep Goldman Sachs roots as well.
So John Allison is good.
Let's talk Paul Atkins for Vice Chair of the Federal Reserve. This is another one he's going to be meeting with tomorrow. Yeah,
he's already been advising. He's been involved in the transition team. He's been advising the President-elect. This is a man that you'll see perhaps at the SEC or in a vice chair kind of position at the Fed. So that's a name you can watch for, but not necessarily at a cabinet level.
And how about the former presidential candidate himself, Rick Perry?
Look, Rick Perry's an interesting man. One of the only two people who ran in the Republican primary who had military experience, he and Lindsey Graham. I'd say defense secretary or even chair of the Secretary of the Veterans Administration would be a very good position for him as well.
Okay, so let's finish up here with David Clark. Sheriff David Clark, he's going to be meeting with him tomorrow.
Right. Look, David Clark's been mentioned for Department of Homeland Security. And I think, though, that when you're looking at people who this is the kind of department that needs national experience. Everybody's a big fan of Sheriff Clark, but I think that we're looking at a very likely a position for him, probably not a cabinet level.
We have to wrap it up there, and you've got Sarah Palin up here. Do you think she'd be good for Energy Secretary?
She is not really being mentioned a great deal these days, but Sarah Palin, Energy Secretary, watch out for that.
All right, Tammy Bruce, good stuff. He's meeting with a lot of people tomorrow. That's a busy day. All right, should the U.S.